In the next portion of this tutorial for the elevation box, we're going to show you how to create multiple reference points. In this particular tutorial, it's going to be multiple slab heights, and we're going to treat them as different zones where we run duct over both of them, but some duct needs to be tagged to this first reference point, some duct needs to be tagged over the second reference point. The first thing we must do is make sure that both reference points are marked in our elevation box. Currently, we're going to go to the elevation marks view, press the button, and you can see here that we've got the top and bottom. The top we have here is 20 foot. This slab right here, if we click on it, you can see that the top of that slab, it's 20 feet above absolute zero. We have used this as our elevation 0, our relative mark 0, and we've set it to relative bottom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the second slab. You can see that the top of that slab is at 25 feet from absolute 0. And we're going to create a second relative mark. And what we're going to do is we're going to move our cursor to the left. And then we're going to click on the elevation value and give it 25 foot. Notice the Practicad's automatically generating in sequential order. It goes from 0 to 1. However, we're going to call this relative mark 1A and hit enter. Now what we're going to want to do is be able to tag elevation tags from duct above, everything above this elevation mark, and everything from this elevation mark. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a fitting from our fitting bin. We're going to grab rectangular duct. And we're going to say to set the bottom of duct 15 foot above relative bottom. And relative bottom is currently 20 foot. Remember, the values we see here, all they're doing is telling us the top, center, and bottom of duct in reference to whatever our current relative bottom point is. For example, they say 15 now because the bottom of duct is at 35 foot. That's where we're holding it in absolute. So it's 15 foot above 20 foot or relative bottom. However, if we switch our new relative mark 1A to relative bottom, you'll notice that these values will change. So if I were to put 15 foot in here now, that means 15 foot above whatever relative bottom happens to be at that point in time. So if we've set 25 foot to relative bottom, and we said be 15 foot above it, we're at 40 foot in absolute elevation. So we can toggle between what's relative bottom, and it does not have any effect on our tags, and we're going to show that to you now. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that we're going to change the 20 foot back to relative bottom. So we come here, we're going to click on our yellow button, and that'll switch it to blue or relative bottom. Once again, I like to use the elevation marks view because it centers everything, makes it easy to scroll through my elevation box. Now what we're going to do is say, okay, let's put bottom at 15 foot. And that just means 15 foot above this slab here that we've got marked. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to draw a duct running from left to right on the screen, just like this. Now, if we go to tag duct on this side, which is over elevation mark 0, we use elevation 0 tag. So in other words, here I use this tag. I click and we can see that it's going to say bottom at 15 foot. However, if we're going to tag duct over this spot, which we've marked this area as relative 1A, we use the 1A tags. You can see we've created a 1B, a 1C, a 1D. So there's already enough for 5 different slab heights in your current data. And there's also another 5 to 10 built inside your documentation tags. And there's tutorials on how these tags work. But if I want to tag something over 1A, I simply grab the 1A tag and then I click on duct that's over 1A, and now it's telling me that bottom is at 10 foot. So we've tagged this duct to this relative mark of this slab, and we've tagged this duct to the relative mark that this slab is at. And you don't need the slabs on the drawing. These tags have nothing to do with the slabs on the drawing. They have everything to do with these relative marks in the elevation box. Now the best part about this is if we go to change or edit the duct, these tags will edit based on their relative marks. For example, if I click on this duct here, you can see that it's at 35 foot in absolute elevation. And if in fact I raise it to 40 foot, you'll notice that both of these elevation tags are going to change. So I'm typing in 40 foot in the elevation box and hitting enter. Now you can see that this is 20 foot above its spot. This is 15 foot above its spot. So looking at the front view, you can see that we've got this slab is actually at 0. 20 foot above that, we've got our first relative mark. 5 foot above that, we have our next relative mark. And then we have our duct line above that. However, each of these is being tagged based on the reference point below it. So the drawing is correct, the tags are correct, and when we go to export this drawing for the BIM model, this duct is going to be at the right elevation. So very important. Once again, we can toggle between relative bottoms and we can tag to different reference points. If we're going to come in here and grab a second duct line, this time we're going to say, let's tag this duct 5 foot above this slab. Well, what I can do is I can come into my elevation box, fit to view, and say, I want my relative bottom points that Practicad's reading to me. I want Practicad to read it to me from 1A mark. So I click on the blue right here. Turn that blue. Practicad has switched it. And now I have a new relative bottom. So now when I say, let's put this 5 feet, bottom at 5 foot, it means 5 foot above whatever my relative bottom is. And that happens to be 25 foot. So you can see it's at 30 foot. So when I place it here, I put it right on top. Once again, if I'm over the 1A section, going to give it a 1A tag. And I would continue to do this for as many different slab heights as we need. So this is how to work with multiple relative bottoms.